What up, gamers? I'm Jason, and today on Dice and Dragons, I'm going to be interviewing Laura from Game On Tabletop. Now, this is one of the first interviews that we will have conducted on the channel. Definitely the first one that we've conducted over Skype. I'll talk about that in just a moment. Let's get into what this interview is about. Well, during the interview, we will be talking about the history of Game On Tabletop, giving a little bit of background as to what they've done, their Kickstarter fulfillment process, and really what company they started at and how it's just sort of grown from there. Now, the reason why we're talking about all of this is that this week, probably a few days prior to this release, Game On Tabletop will have launched their brand new tabletop marketplace. Now, this is a fantastic new tool, in my opinion, that's coming to the community. It's going to let creators, developers, publishers have another way of getting games into the hands of gamers, as well as utilizing the expertise provided by Game On Tabletop. Now, there will be some exclusive content on there. Laura does talk about that in the interview. And I don't want to give you guys any spoilers. Now, one thing I do need to mention, this was my first time recording with Skype, and when it does that, it centers the camera. I'd originally planned to use another software which would have just captured my screen, but we were forced to use the internal recording software. Now, because of that, Laura is a little bit off-centered. I do apologize for the technical glitch. I was working with it for a few days and I was not able to find a way to get any of that source for the recording to really change it up. Now, with that being said, I feel like we've got a great interview. If the video bothers you, feel free to, minimize it if you're on your computer, or just listen to it because it's a great conversation. Now, with that being said, it's time for me to tell everyone to grab their drink. And you should take a seat. And we're going to get to this interview. So hello, everyone. I'm here with Laura Hoffman from Game On Tabletop, and we are going to be doing a quick, well, not a quick interview, but we're going to do about a 20 to 30-minute interview where we discuss Game On Tabletop, as well as their new project, their new tabletop marketplace that has launched by now or will be launching, depending on when we get this video out. Laura and I are going to go over the details, make sure everything's good, but you're going to get some very valuable information as to what they're doing. So if you just want to introduce yourself, Laura, maybe give people a little bit of background about Game On Tabletop and how you got started.
Yes, thank you, Jason. First of all, obviously, thank you for hosting and having me here today. So I'm Laura, and I'm running Game On Tabletop, which is a tabletop-dedicated crowdfunding platform. So a bit like a Kickstarter, but just for tabletop games, everything, board games, role-playing games, miniatures, and everything. And so what we are doing is that we built a system that revolves only around those tabletop games, and also tries to offer as many different solutions for creators as possible, including an integration of a pledge manager, the possibility to do late pledges, and many automized features. Excellent.
So what drew you into the tabletop industry?
So me personally, I've always been a gamer since I've been a kid. So I've always wanted to kind of work in that industry. And then I got the amazing opportunity when I was in the early 20s to start working for a French role-playing game publisher, Black Book Editions. And so that's where I started out with these guys. And so Black Book built the actual tool that has now become Game On. And so I took that project over in that company a couple of years ago.
What role-playing game did you work on when you started out with Black Book?
So Black Book Editions does a lot of French translations of popular role-playing games, so including Pathfinder, Shadowrun, Savage Worlds. They did Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition for a while, and then they also have their own brands, which is, for instance, Polaris RPG is their one single RPG that they translated into English so far, and then they have some other ones that are known mostly in France for now.
Oh, very cool. Very cool. So what do you love being on this fulfillment side of the business, working with creators, publishers, working on getting games into the hands of gamers like myself? I have actually used Game On Tabletop a few times, and I just got an invite to use your service once again for Monolith's new Conan, the Adventure Mode expansion.
Awesome. Cool. Well, awesome. Great to hear that you're already a backer on our platform. Welcome there. So indeed, it's a great question. Thank you for asking it because so as I've been working on the publishing side before, I really enjoyed it because making games is awesome, right? This is the best thing you can actually do. But once I moved over to that position of running a crowdfunding platform, I also discovered something entirely different, which is amazing, I think. I mean, it's such a special place to be on the side of publishers and being able to support them and figure out how to optimize their projects, talk with them about the different issues they might be having or problems or ideas, or and kind of like see it become a real thing, right? Become that dream, a real game that will then be enjoyed by a lot of different people. So yeah, what I really enjoy about that is it's always a challenge. It's a very challenging job in the sense of every project manager has different needs and different ideas, and it's difficult to always have the perfect solution, but it's also a challenge I really, really, really enjoy, and which is very exciting. So it's always an adventure, and it's just amazing to be able to be so close to them and see those games evolve and come into existence.
No, and as someone that's backed many games on Kickstarter, I can just imagine how challenging it can be, because you must have creators that come to you with, prototypes, miniatures, maybe they're like 50% down the road. Now they're trying to collect funding and then get it produced. Then there's others who've got 3D renders and others that come with almost nothing but an idea. So you're trying to help everyone get to the finish line there.
Absolutely. You said it perfectly. I mean, it's we always try to figure out where is that creator at, right? Is it a big structure with a big team, and they will have lots of different issues and problems because they have their tax reporting and fulfillment solutions, and they're all heavy and big. And then on the other hand, you have someone who has a smaller project and might not have as many needs there, but then they probably need a lot more attention about production and how to actually make this work and how to build a community and stuff like that. So it's really absolutely always a one-on-one figuring out how can we help that specific creator in the best way possible.
So you mentioned earlier that you took on Game On Tabletop after you started out with Black Book. How has the platform changed and evolved over the last few years? Maybe you can take us through it a little bit and how you've gone to the new point with the tabletop marketplace that you're in the process of launching.
Yes, obviously. So the initial tools behind the platform are actually date back to 2013, when the publisher was working for Black Book Editions, wanted to do crowdfunding in France, and Kickstarter was not yet available there. And so they just went ahead and built their own platform. And that worked incredibly well, and it very quickly became the platform used for most French and also German role-playing game publishers. And so when Black Book Editions then used Kickstarter for the first time, they actually noticed the differences between what they've initially built and what's out there, between the system of having to go through a pledge manager additionally afterwards and not having all the tools available. And so the idea was born, hey, we have a tool that we can work on to make available internationally and for all types of games. And so that was back in 2016 when that idea came out. And then in 2017, we launched as Game On Tabletop as a standalone platform open for all types of games. And on the international spectrum. And very soon after the launch, we also really integrated everything that's like just for pledge management on delayed pledges. So that's something that we didn't do initially, but we are now able to do, on one hand, crowdfunding campaigns, so campaigns that start out right from the start from us, but we can also do pledge management campaigns that were initially on another platform and come here to handle their fulfillment processes. And obviously, we've ever since been expanding and developing and adjusting, and we've had a revamp of the front side, and we've had lots of different adjustments all the time. I mean, we are always constantly working and adding new features to our website. And so one of the big projects in there we've had for a while was, okay, what we see is that a lot of people, they do crowdfunding campaigns that they do very well, but a lot of them are independent people, and it's difficult nowadays to necessarily get into distribution and be able to hold up after sales after you actually produce your crowdfunded product. And so that's when we were thinking, hey, we already have a very solid sales platform. We do tens of thousands of transactions per year. We have a built-in community, and we have a strong traffic every month. What we can do is give people an opportunity to have an after-sales platform, either for products that they might have crowdfunded, or even for some other stock that they might have, or products that are not necessarily meant to be a crowdfunding project, but are still exclusive and high quality tabletop items. And that's when the marketplace idea was born.
So a good example of what type of services we could see from the new marketplace, and this is just talking about for launch, for example, let's say like Cool Mini or Not Simon, they recently did their warehouse clear out where they actually had to go through Kickstarter. What you're saying is that your marketplace would offer them like the perfect opportunity to just not have to deal with this big, large, unwieldy system that is Kickstarter, followed by a pledge manager. They could put some products up on the new Game On Tabletop marketplace and use that to conduct their sale and their business.
Yeah, it's kind of like that. It's kind of like, okay, do we have stocks left over, or especially if we're producing a new game, are we overproducing a bit of stock, and do we want to sell that somewhere and then have an easy checkout way, right? Like when people come to a crowdfunding campaign, they come into an expectation of living an adventure, living a story. They want to dig in. They love having different choices and things to select and stuff like that, and that's really great for crowdfunding. But then on the other hand, you need a very direct sales channel. If you have just, hey, this is a great game, I just want to make this box easily available, right? And that's why we took it out of the whole system of crowdfunding. I mean, we're basing it on the same infrastructure concerning payments and stuff like that, and how we handle orders. But how it will look like for the actual client will be much more like an e-commerce type of platform. And I think it makes a lot of sense to use a platform that is open to all kinds of publisher and globally, to give that reach and that access to different kinds of tabletop publishers, and to still stay specific in that area.
No, and what I do like about your platform, your system, I always love the way that we do see new projects promoted. Just being a member of the platform, we get a lot of information. The platform works very smooth. Creators that I have dealt with when I've had an issue on your platform have been very quick to respond and have provided great customer service. So I
Awesome.
can definitely see exactly where you're going with this platform, is that it's going to be able to fit sort of a lot of different needs, whether it's maybe someone that's got overstock, whether it's taking a project from A to Z completely through pledging, fulfilling, and getting it played, even potentially reaching out to the community. I can imagine they even find testers and other people that might be available locally, as you've got that nice international scope to help people bring these dreams into actual reality.
Absolutely. Well, thank you very much. That's a very, very nice feedback to hear as well. We have indeed a lot of additional plans as well to ever grow that. I think we want to have more features and more things available. And our strength is that, on the other hand, we stay focused on what we know best, and that's the tabletop industry, and that's the tabletop backers and the players, and that passion. It's something we understand, we believe in, and we want to make work, right? I mean, everything we gain in addition, we will reinvest that into more tools and into more features for that industry, and I think that's a strength. And not everybody will be using our platform, and it won't always be perfect and work 100% fine. But everything we can do to make that experience as close as possible for the needs of the tabletop industry, we will definitely do.
Oh, and in this conversation, you definitely answered already one or two of the other questions that I wanted to ask. So I'm going to circle back a little bit and just talk a little bit about what you currently have with Game On Tabletop. And I was just curious, what maybe was your most challenging project that you had to deal with on the platform? Or if you can't name the game, that's fine. But it'd be interesting to hear just sort of what some of the crazy challenges you've had and what maybe you've learned from that experience that has led you to launching this marketplace. And maybe let you improve the experience now that you've got this marketplace ready to go.
Yeah, I mean, every single project is a learning experience. There's always something new I will discover. I have not yet reached the point where I've seen it all, and I'm not sure I ever will. Obviously, there have been a couple of projects that have been more complex. It's sometimes, I'm not going to name any specifics, but it's sometimes where I'm really figuring out that communities are very, very different. So sometimes you get a project that has a super sweet and super kind community behind them, and people are really supportive. And sometimes for no specific reason, they aren't. And I think that's something that hurts myself a bit, because it's very troublesome to then build up hype and build up a very healthy environment if there's a lot of toxic discussion going around. So that's sometimes challenging. It's not necessarily that much challenging on us, because it's not us necessarily the project manager, but obviously we want to try to help guide people into getting a healthy and great experience with everyone. And then obviously it's also sometimes difficult to assess the different scopes with the project managers, to always be sure that we understand all of their needs. It's also sometimes difficult to make creators understand what are some of the important parts to think of. Right, shipping is one of the biggest topics out there. It's sometimes very difficult to have them understand that they need to charge for shipping, because it's going to be difficult otherwise. And on the other hand, it's sometimes difficult to make them understand that their checkout process needs to be enough streamlined that it's easy enough for people to understand. And so that sometimes was or sometimes still even is a complicated matter to figure out where is the right line, and how can we combine needs and expectations of project managers with what we think is best for that community. But yeah, I mean, I always take them just as a learning experience, and I also try to stay humble between what my experiences are. I'm learning every time again. So yeah, I see it more as an adventure. I'm ready to live with every single project manager.
No, and that's great. And I'm really happy that you mentioned shipping and fulfillment, and especially the checkout process, because I've dealt with a few campaigns, and I'm not going to name any names like you, but there are some that have gone incredibly smooth because it's been a very simple, easy process. Some stuff's even arrived far earlier than I would expected. Then there were others where they had a more complicated pledge manager, spent probably a little too much time trying to offer a lot of value in terms of what you're getting, maybe finding stuff in the past catalog, and then you go to Kickstarter comments, or I can imagine even stuff directly to you, the fulfillment company, where people are like, where's this, where's that, how did this get messed up, what was the issue here? And it's good to hear that streamline and making things simple is definitely part of what you're focusing on teaching these designers and project managers.
Yeah, it's really a lot about that. It's about figuring out how far can you go, because on one hand, backers that we're used to, they're also gamers, so they're up for a challenge and they're ready to calculate and figure out things and look very deeply. And if you offer them a big catalog, they're not necessarily against that, because they actually enjoy a part of that. But then again, you have to find the fine line to not overdo it and not to make it too complicated there. And that's something, that you need to understand. And it's very different also depending on, like I said, on the different communities. And you need to be able to adjust to your audience and what they're looking for. And it's not always worked out perfectly. It's also sometimes we as Game On might not have the perfect technical solution ready yet, even though we have a ton of different solutions. And then it also comes often down to timing, because if you have time in advance, we might be able to figure out a way to make it work. And sometimes we don't, because we learn of those challenges at the last minute. And that's when we kind of have to find a workaround, which sometimes overcomplicates things, how I think. But generally, I do believe that we do a good job with project managers figuring out how to set it up the best way possible. And it's been going good overall so far.
And I think you brought up some very good points, especially about gamers being able to figure things out. And I do think there are some creators and some companies that maybe underestimate how far gamers will go and who they'll make a phone call to get some information. I can think of projects that I've thought myself about going all in, and maybe I started out all in and then my pledge got significantly reduced as all of a sudden the math comes out to, hey, we paid this the first time, we got this amount of content, now we're paying the same price and we're getting less than half. And then people look into it and like, well, there's this, and this, and next thing you know, you're not necessarily getting the success that you might have thought you would have.
Yeah. So definitely, tabletop backers are very aware of what they want to get and what they're getting, and it's on one part it's a real blessing, because I think in many other industries you couldn't go as complicated and have so many different offers that generate a lot of money and funds and make those games actually happen, because you cannot overcomplicate a lot with some other audiences, and you can with tabletop backers. But it's also you have to be aware that they will find find anything, if there's anything off, or if they're not getting a good enough deal, they will let you know. And so it's a blessing and also a learning curve for you. But yeah.
So I just have a couple more questions here. So what specifically does the new marketplace offer to, let's say, publishers? What does it offer to designers? And then what is the advantage that gamers will be getting from using your platform?
Okay, so very firstly, we're currently mostly focusing on the publisher aspect, because especially with the whole COVID-19 situation, some of them have been hit really hard with stores closing and not everybody being able to have necessarily their own e-commerce platform. So for now, what we are offering them is the ability to put in their, like I said, their already available stock or pre-order items that are not meant to be a crowdfunding campaign, that are meant to be just a simple pre-order, like I'm pre-ordering this specific item, and to put them up, put up an image, some description, and then have an additional section on their creator's site where it's just going to be the direct purchase products in comparison to where they will have another section with the crowdfunding campaigns. And so for backers so far, what they will be, and then, pardon, I'm just circling back a tiny step. So they have their own site with their own e-commerce display, basically. But then obviously we will also have an overall store with the different items of all the different publishers that we're working with, where they're all regrouped. So somebody will be able to browse through different publishers and see, and probably, hopefully, find some games that they might not necessarily have discovered otherwise. After that, the backers are then going to place orders. They're placing them with that specific project manager, with that specific vendor. It's kind of more like of an eBay or an Amazon marketplace where you will buy and purchase with that specific person. So they will have different carts and that they will check out individually. So they will still be paying individual shipping prices and not necessarily getting a better deal there yet. However, we already started working out, in addition to that, a solution where we can do warehousing and fulfillment for multiple publishers as well that might not have the logistical capacity of doing it themselves. And in which case, then they can regroup and spare some of the shipping as well. That's something I think we will see over time. It won't be there right at launch. But obviously, the more we will develop on that as well, the more is going to be there as well, with a connection between the crowdfunding and the marketplace, how we can incentivize people that have been backed a lot of projects, that also buy products there. So we're thinking about a lot of things that we could do over time there. So it's going to be all fresh and new. So we will also see how the community reacts and what the needs are and see what we can do there. But the idea is obviously to have one space where they can check out easily between different publishers and without having necessarily to navigate every time to those specific individual websites.
Oh, and that sounds fantastic. So it's really going to be value added to Game On Tabletop while you'll continue with the support for the crowdfunded campaigns. The tabletop marketplace will offer either existing product or pre-order product. So there'll be, for backers that may have been burnt in a Kickstarter or crowdfunding campaign, there's what they're going to be getting from your marketplace side will definitely differ from the crowdfunding side.
Yeah, it's two different things, right? A crowdfunding campaign is an investment in the long term because you're not going to be shipped right away, whereas a marketplace experience is about, okay, I'm placing that order and I'm getting that specific item. I'm not unlocking necessarily any stretch goals or stuff. But yeah, that's the main part there. And it's going to be a bit two different sections, and we will see how that works together well. But I think what we see in our community is that those are all gamers that are excited about purchasing and discovering new games. And the publishers that we've approached so far and that have approached us about the marketplace, they have some amazing products to offer and give them back also exclusive items and stuff like that. So I think that's great, and having a space where people know, hey, I can go to Game On and I'll find some awesome games that I might be interested in, I think makes a lot of sense.
Oh man, I'm excited to see it. I've used Kickstarter for crowdfunding. I've done a little stuff on Indiegogo. I mean, I've dabbled a little bit in everything, but I must say that after some recent experiences, it'll be nice to get access to something where I'm going to be either pre-ordering, purchasing the product, and sort of getting rid of a little bit of that risk, especially as you mentioned with the situation going on right now with COVID-19 and delays and just other things that happen. Some creators are not nearly as good with their funds as they should be. So,
I mean, obviously that can still happen. I mean, it's a platform where the project manager is still responsible of fulfillment. Obviously, if we see somebody who is not delivering or over-promising, I mean, they still have to accept our terms where they're obliged to fulfill everyone. But I think what's important with Game On is that we try to be as close as possible with the project managers. Like, if we see somebody who's struggling, instead of just like banning them from our website, our very first interaction is going to be reaching out and saying, hey, we're seeing you're struggling. Maybe there's something we can help you with. I mean, if you don't have a manufacturer anymore, maybe we can point you to someone, or if you have any other troubles, well, just let us know. And then we will first think about hey, how can we figure out a way, because we want those games to be in the hands of the backers that are waiting for them. And I think the more we work in that and the more we do, the easier it is for us to also be able to provide those solutions for people coming up.
Excellent. And where would you like to see this marketplace in 5 years from now? How do you hope to have seen it grow and change? What's sort of your long-term vision for this endeavor?
So obviously I have lots of dreams and ideas about that. I've learned that it's not always exactly going to work out as it should be. I'd love to see it turn into something, where publishers are happy to bring in their exclusive items, not necessarily only exclusive, but what I'm trying to say is like the really high quality items or very limited quantities, bringing what's really making them most excited about their games, right? Because at one point you can have games that are mass market wise made and you can print them in high quantities, but what a lot of people in crowdfunding at least enjoy a ton is getting high value for their products. And I'd love to see that turn into something where there is a lot of those items on there. I'd love to see a way to try to get a connection in there to make it easier for people to see and discover those games. We're obviously also always continuing to work on how can we highlight the products, how can we put them in front of people and work together there. Right. So I'm hoping to see that expand. I know we have got a couple of more plans of additional exciting features that are coming to the marketplace specifically as well. So I think that's going to change a lot of things there too. So, but I mean, we'll see. Time will tell.
Excellent. And then the one last question that I had for you, Laura, is there anything that we haven't covered today that you feel that people need to know about Game On Tabletop? And if there's anything that you'd like to point people in the right direction where they can find the marketplace, where they can get started and, get ready for this big launch? And also, do we have the launch date currently for the platform?
So yeah, we're currently planning on launching Monday, May 18th. So that's next Monday. It might get delayed a tiny bit if we see, hey, we still need a bit of time. We will take the time needed to sort everything out, because we have to coordinate with all the project managers at the same time. We will start out with a couple of first publishers that are there and ready, and so especially one of them that we've already announced, who is going to be Exot Games, who did the Jurassic World miniatures game, and they are going to do a very exciting pre-order that I'm really proud of hosting on as one of the first projects on the marketplace. It's going to be additional Jurassic World terrain that they're doing. It's a pre-order, but what they're doing in addition to that is that they have a network of partner stores, and they're going to give back a bit of the margin to those partner stores, because these stores have been struggling a lot throughout all this pandemic as well. And so I think it's an amazing initiative as well, to combine on one part being able to do something amazing, new products that people are really looking forward to, and also being able to give back to all of the retail stores that we really love and enjoy, and that we want to see survive throughout all of that. And then there are a couple of other publishers that I'm also really excited that are coming up that I cannot name yet. I mean, I don't know when this video is going to release, but as long as the announcement is not official. But I'm really excited about, but because they're not necessarily publishers that are selling in a lot of other places yet. So I'm hoping that it's gonna be great for everyone. People will discover the games, and also it will bring in people to Game On, obviously. So yeah.
Well, yes, the video will be releasing next week. I'll make sure that we get it timed around the release of the platform. The date, I'm not exactly sure. We like to do, for those that subscribe to the channel, we like to do 2 releases a week, and we've got something booked on the 19th, but I will maybe have it out on the Wednesday or the Thursday. So if you have
you take your time.
Delay, it might be good timing for other video release.
Yes, I'll let you know there as well, obviously. And also, the final thing I wanted to say, so obviously if there are publishers watching this, feel free to reach out to us now as well. We are still starting out, so it's going to be the first time is going to be maybe a bit wonky, and we are still figuring out, but we're also able to do a very good deal for people that are ready to trust and try us out now. So feel free to reach out to us. You can find everything on gameontabletop.com, and there's a contact, and you will be in touch with me or my colleague David, who's gonna get in touch then.
All right, well, thank you for taking the time, Laura. I really appreciate it, and I'm eager to see what this marketplace looks like, and I'll definitely be active on it when it launches on May 18th.
Awesome. Thank you so much for your time and having us, Jason.
All right, take care.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye. Thank you for watching our interview with Laura. Down below in the video description, you can find some links to Game On Tabletop, as well as a link to their new marketplace. Now, I don't like that. 3, 2, 1. I hope you enjoyed our interview with Laura from Game On Tabletop. Down below in the video description, you will find links to Game On Tabletop itself, as well as a link that will take you directly to the new marketplace, as well as maybe another link to their exclusive pre-order that Laura talked about in the video. Now, for those of you that haven't seen the channel, we're going to do our quick outro right now. So don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, click on the notification bell so that YouTube will let you know when our next video is released. Also, down below in the video description, you can find links to all of our social media feeds: Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Make sure that you're following them, because we have some cool pictures that that I post, that will let you know what's coming up on the channel. Now, popping up in front of me are going to be links to some of our previously released content. We're going to let YouTube decide what they are. only one of them. The other one is going to take you to our most recently released video. With that being said, it's time for you to once again grab your drink, grab a seat, and don't forget, keep playing games.